Good morning, PTNI's Daily Show. Happy Thursday morning. Hope your Thursday is off to a great start. I will be your host today, Alan, currently serving as COO Vice and faculty member in our fitness athlete division. Today is Leadership Thursday, but today is also Gut Check Thursday, so we posted it up last night. A little kind of heavier than we normally go with Gut Check, but we like to change it up as well. So 10-minute AMRAP. As many rounds or reps as possible in 10 minutes. We're doing 4 deadlifts, 255 for guys, 185 for ladies. So quite stout, but only 4 reps. 8 dumbbell snatches, 50 for guys, 35 for the ladies. So that should be something that will move unbroken. And then 12 calories on assault bike for guys or 9 for ladies. Seen some folks today posting they did it early this morning, getting through 5, 6, and even into 7 rounds. So give that a try. Good morning, Will. I see you on Instagram. Good morning, Aaron. I see you on Facebook. So give Gut Check a try. Remember, by doing Gut Check and by posting and tagging us on social media, we will enter you in a raffle and pick a name, and you will get $50 off an ice course. We used to give a t-shirt, but our t-shirt company is making masks for COVID, so we're not able to get any apparel for the foreseeable future, so we switched to a $50 coupon off an ice course. So just tag us on social media, and by tagging us on social media, I mean don't personally email me a video or text me a video. Please post that up to social media on your own account and tag ICE, and we will put you in that raffle. Some courses coming up real quick. In 2 weeks, August 8th and 9th, we have the ICE Sampler. That's virtual this year, 23 CEUs. We've got 16 hours of live content planned for you. Tons and tons of great stuff. I'm super excited to be working with Mitch, Zach, Dustin, Christina for the comprehensive shoulder from Mabel to Matt Frazier. So how to get anyone, deconditioned, older adult, younger adult, CrossFit athlete to use their shoulder better. So taking you through the full spectrum of can't lift my arm, super weak, super painful, all the way to how do I get better at things like muscle ups and handstand walking. So that's just one of the topics. That full list is on the website under courses, so check out the full schedule. Have a bunch of other bonus content planned as well, so hope you can join us for the Sampler. If you can't make it live on the stream, the entire weekend will be recorded and available for you to pick apart afterwards, so that option is available as well. Live courses, Jeff will be in Chicago August 15th and 16th for lumbar spine management. That course has 2 spots left, keeping it small due to COVID. So 2 spots left to join Jeff in Chicago. And at the end of August, you can join Zach down in Manhattan, Kansas with our friends at Mathis Physical Therapy for cervical spine management. That's August 29th and 30th. So let's jump into Leadership Thursday. Let's talk about pricing strategies. We've talked before about what should you make, do you know what you make, based on what you generate, and that comes from kind of purely a clinical perspective of seeing patients in the clinic, especially looking at seeing patients in an insurance-based clinic. But today I want to talk about pricing strategy just in general. So this isn't limited to what you might charge to see a patient. It certainly can be, but I want to talk about the big picture about what is an hour of your time worth. And that's a question that we all kind of have to ask ourselves, especially as you kind of get more established in the profession and maybe you're doing things beyond just treating patients, and maybe you are doing some consulting, maybe you're working kind of outside of the traditional PT sphere, and you want to know, what is an hour of my time worth? So Jeff and I do a lot of consulting. We consult with clinic groups. We consult with individual practitioners. I do a lot of consulting on helping different organizations get approved for CEUs, for PT and other organizations. So we do a lot of consulting, and we have arrived at, and for ourselves anyways, answered the question of what is an hour of your time worth. And for Jeff and I, we kind of have settled on about $100 an hour is what an hour of my time is worth. And first things first, we need to say that that's going to vary wildly depend on where you live. Where I live, $100 an hour is quite a bit of money. If I was working 40 hours a week at $100 an hour, 52 weeks a year, that would be $208,000. That's quite a bit of money where I live, which is kind of in the Midwest in Michigan, where cost of living is not too high. So the first thing I want to say is don't be fixed on my number or anyone else's number. It's going to depend a lot based on where you live and your cost of living. You know better than anybody where you live, how far you can stretch your dollar, how much food costs, how much rent costs, all that happy stuff. So don't get too fixed on a number, but do the research into what is my time worth, and look at it as well as how much prep work goes into an hour of your time, how much follow through after an hour of your time. If you do a consulting call for an hour, how much prep time goes in before, how much prep time after, how much kind of leg work is there for an hour of your time. And that's how you can better arrive at that number. Just some quick examples, and again, don't be fixed on these numbers. $50 an hour is $104,000 a year, $150, $312,000, and then $250 an hour is $520,000 a year. And now some of you are probably saying, well, Alan, I would like my hour of time to be worth $250 an hour because I would like to make $520,000 a year. And that's kind of where we diverge in this discussion of what is an hour of your time worth. There's a couple different strategies here. When we look at pricing our time, we need to realize it's going to be different than pricing a physical product, right? We can look at a company like Apple and say, well, they charge $1,100 for a phone. So maybe we need to be charging $250 for an hour of our time. And we need to realize they are able to sell a lot more volume than you are, right? They're an international corporation, but they're not selling as frequently as we need to as individual people. When we talk about an hour of our time, treating a patient, maybe doing personal training, consulting, whatever you're getting into, you need to sell at a higher frequency than, the average person is maybe buying a new phone every 2, 3, 4, 5 years. We all have that friend who has a completely destroyed phone, the screen's cracked, they can't text, it's broken in half, and it still makes phone calls, and they're not going to replace it until it completely dies, right? So Apple needs to charge a little bit more because people aren't looking to buy a phone every single week, right? Their frequency of sales are much, much lower, even though their price is higher. We need to remember that. And so when you have an increased price, you're naturally going to need less volume, but you have to make up for it frequency-wise. And so yes, you could charge $250 for an hour of your time, but that creates a big barrier for people to come see you as a patient, to come work with you maybe on the fitness side of things, or to get some sort of remote programming or do any sort of consulting with you. It creates a big barrier to entry where people are really going to wait until they absolutely need to come see you because your price is more expensive. So remember that when you are thinking about, I'm going to price myself on the very upper end. Maybe you're even somebody who's considering, hey, it's $300 an hour, it's $400 an hour, it's $500 an hour to come talk to me. Just remember that. That's going to create a natural barrier in somebody's mind to come and use your services. I think of any time I've ever had to consult a lawyer, and I've only had to do it when absolutely necessary, right? Because when they say it's $250 an hour to talk with me, I'm thinking, I'm not going to talk to you unless I absolutely have to. And I'm going to come prepared with a jam-packed hour or 2 hours of things to make the most out of my time, to make sure that if I am forking over that money, it's not going to be in vain. Versus if we look at pricing ourselves a little bit cheaper, that reduces those barriers. More people can access us, and also they may access us at a higher frequency and a higher volume, which is going to bump our overall revenue up. If you're priced at maybe $150 an hour or $100 an hour, people may say, well, I could afford that maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe once every week, and that frequency is going to go up, and you may see yourself actually making more revenue over time from that person than if you were at a higher price point. So just know that when your price is up, yes, you don't need to sell as much volume, but it does still need to happen at a good frequency, and there are barriers. The same thing is true on the opposite side of that spectrum. When you start to try and outdo everyone else, when you look at maybe the other out-of-network clinics in town and they're charging $150, and you say, well, if I charge $50 an hour, well, I could undercut all those people and still make $50 an hour. 40 hours a week is still $104,000 a year. So I could still make good money doing that. Then you run into the question of almost undervaluing yourself. People wonder, well, why is this $50 when the person down the road is $150? Why is it so much cheaper? People naturally do that with physical goods, right? Think of if an oil change at one shop was $1 and it's $35 across the street. Yeah, some folks are going to rush for that dollar oil change, but a lot of people are going to say, what's wrong with that oil change? Like, why is it so cheap? Surely the quality is going to be much, much different if it's so much cheaper, and people naturally associate money and quality together at some level. And so recognize that you can price yourself too low. So we need to find that happy medium. Where is a price point for you where you are not underselling, you're still making good money, but you aren't priced so high that a very few people can come and see you. And you'll often find you're around that $100 to maybe $200 an hour mark. The second point here is once you've arrived on a price, stick with it. We've talked about this before with selling physical goods, with discounts. We kind of talked before about the ICE policy on discounts. We don't really do discounts. We do discounts mainly just for students. And that is you attract the wrong kind of customer when you're always discounting your rate. And you, again, associating money and quality together, when you're always discounting yourself, you are kind of sending the message that my time is worth whatever I can get for it based on how desperate I am for money at that particular point in time, versus just having a consistent rate. Here at Health HQ, if you use your insurance, it's going to run you about $100 to $120 a visit, and that's reflected in our cash rate as well. It's $100 an hour to come see us. We can work on whatever you want. We don't charge any extra if you want to come and work on Olympic weightlifting performance, or come for an hour and get some exercises to build strict pull-up strength or strict handstand push-up strength, or to come see us and start a physical therapy plan of care. It's all $100 an hour, and the hour of time is yours and what you make with it. Some folks come and they just get recovery stuff. They just get manipulation and needling and cupping, and that's what they come to see us for. And again, it's their hour, and the price doesn't fluctuate based on the service. So it's really important that you don't fluctuate your rate and you stick with it. You don't discount it because you happen to need more money that week to make the mortgage, or it doesn't fluctuate back up because you're getting busy and now you have a wait list, and now you think I can ask for a little bit more money and fluctuate it back and forth. Certainly you can raise your rates over time, and again, that's something we've done here. Our initial cash rate was $50 an hour, and it's gone up now to $100 an hour. But once you've raised it, don't drop it back down again. Keep consistent and avoid from fluctuating your rate. And definitely don't change it because you maybe have the idea in your head that this person or this company has more money and they can afford it. A lot of folks will double or triple their rate when consulting or working with a company versus an individual. Maybe it's $100 an hour for personal training or PT. But then if I'm consulting with a company, it jumps up to $300 an hour. And I would caution you to avoid that, right? That just puts a bad taste, especially if those organizations or individuals find out you're doing that you think they can afford it, and so you're charging them more. You don't want to get into any of that sticky area. So just stick with a rate and avoid fluctuating it. So those are some pricing strategies. Again, you really need to do a lot of your research. This is something on Virtual ICE, we have a couple modules now about opening your own clinic and the process of opening your own clinic, and we talk a lot about pricing. It's something Sarah and Kate discuss a lot in a network class, is kind of arriving on a price point for an hour of your time for physical therapy. And it's something that's going to depend wildly based on where you live, what your costs are. But again, find that price point. Choose the middle, right? Find the middle of that spectrum. You don't want to hang out at the lower end or the upper end, and then make sure you don't fluctuate it. Once you've arrived at that price, stick to that price. Don't discount it just because you're trying to get people in the door or increase your volume, and don't ramp it up just because you think who you're working with can afford to pay a little bit more money. Arrive at that price and stick with it. Now, consulting-wise, once you get into moving out of the realm of kind of just being a salaried W-2 employee, once you are running your own business, once you are starting to consult and getting paid cash as an independent contractor, you do need to look at setting up, if you haven't already, a LLC or a PLLC. So again, that's something we talk about in Virtual ICE. It's something we talk about in the out-of-network course, how to do that. It's very, very simple. I literally just did it today, this morning. It's a couple sheets of paper in Michigan. You can do it yourself. You don't need to go through LegalZoom. It was 4 sheets of paper and a $50 check to incorporate as an LLC. It's going to depend what you can do on state, but I recommend that as you start to get different revenue streams all kind of coming in for different services. It's going to make your taxes a lot easier, and it's going to reduce your tax burden a lot as you start to get paid as an independent contractor, and you have to now pay income tax on that money that you're bringing in that's not taken out already for you. So recommend that if you are starting to get into this realm, you're starting to maybe do some various different side hustles, some consulting, and you start to have a lot of different revenue streams, make sure you get an LLC or a PLLC. Protect yourself from unnecessary tax burden, and also just make it easier at the end of the year to kind of put all that revenue into one package when you're doing your taxes and kind of your end of year financials. So look into doing that as well. And again, protect yourself too from a legal standpoint, that you can establish yourself as a company instead of an individual and get that extra legal protection. So I hope that helps. Happy to chat about, what should my price be? Is this too high? Is this too low? There's different tools you can use. There's cost of living calculators through the government and to find out inflation and that sort of thing. And that can really help you dial in how far will my dollar go based on what I'm charging, based on where I live. So happy to discuss that. Happy to talk more about this topic. Happy to take emails from you all. You can email me, info@ice.physio. Shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram. I'll be happy to chat it out with you. So that's what I've got for you for this Thursday. Don't forget about Gut Check. Don't forget to sign up for the sampler. Join Jeff in Chicago for lumbar spine management, or Zach at the end of August for cervical spine management. Hope you all have a great weekend. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.